The following program is a production of WMFE, Orlando, Melbourne, Daytona Beach.
Coming up on The Arts Connection, we meet a local jazz legend who has played with Tina Turner, Ray Charles, and other greats.
Bernie has so many sounds to his voice, sort of like a Stevie Wonder.
Also, the Steinway Society gives kids the gift of music. And it's that time of year, The Arts Connection checks out Universal's Halloween Horror Nights for a beautiful story. All that and more just ahead on The Arts Connection.
The Arts Connection is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to WMFE from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to The Arts Connection, your program about all things creative here in Central Florida. I'm Secily Wilson and we're joining you from the Plaza Theatre in Orlando, where they've extended the run of their successful production of Little Shop of Horrors, put on by Gramercy Theatre. And in just a few minutes, we're going to get a glimpse of Audrey and Seymour and talk more with the producer of the show. But first, let's get into the Halloween spirit. But let me give you a warning. This next story may be a little graphic, so you might want to send the kids out of the room. We're going inside Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, where it's celebrating 18 years of scares, filling its streets with over 1,000 characters. But those characters, as they're called, are only part of the horror, waiting for unsuspecting visitors. The houses are equally as horrifying. Our own Kristen Kenney got up the nerve to go inside one of them.
It's an eerie sound. The screams of the crowds who dare venture into Halloween Horror Nights echo around the backlots of Universal Studios. But it's the detail inside that makes it just as scary.
The entire event has had this shift towards just more design. It is amazing to see how many, just not the characters themselves with the prosthetics and the uniqueness of that, but the environments.
Dare to enter Scary Tales, one of 8 haunted houses at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, where our childhood fairy tales become the focus for fear.
This is all of the fairy tales that you know as from your childhood, but done in a fashion, the reflection of them, what would be on the other side, the anti-side of it.
And he means literally.
Would you like to hold some guts?
Hold some guts?
Yeah, here.
Well, I've never been asked to hold guts.
So now...
How do you know what a gut feels like to get that effect?
Well, I can neither confirm nor deny how we know that.
Michael Rohde is the creative mastermind behind the event's guts and gore.
If you know your fairy tales, apples are always a sign of temptation. Something evil always happens when you take a bite. So she's actually waiting for you with an apple. You take the bite and then your fairy tale journey begins. Don't bite it.
Whoops, too late.
So what's your favorite fairy tale?
I would have to say Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, that's perfect, because that's where we are. If you look, Hansel and Gretel, this is the witch's dungeon where Hansel and Gretel are being cooked. And then there are these giant ovens. Now what we have in here is also a combination of heat and smells. So you smell burning flesh, and you hear in each one of these, "Let me out, let me out."
Okay, that is just really freaky. And that's the point of Halloween Horror Nights, says Rohde, to freak you out.
We take our designer hats off and just as an audience say, okay, what freaks me out? What scares me? And we just play, we role play. What if this happened? What if this happened? Oh, that's great. And the things that we really connect with, we put down on a piece of paper. And we bring in artists who put these wonderful pictures to our words. Then we bring in designers who take those pieces of art and actually make them tangible design documents. Then we bring in a vendor who builds it all. And it's a process, now it's become more than a year-long process.
It's no wonder Halloween Horror Nights is a year-long process. With this year's theme, Bloody Mary, everything from lighting to sound to scenery is literally out of this world.
It is a completely immersive experience. Everything is assaulted from your senses, your eyes, you know, what you see, what you hear, what you smell. You walk through the houses like we walk through Scary Tales, and you see the level of attention just to what's written on the walls, how the blood is positioned on the walls.
When it comes to splattering blood, these artists turn into forensic scientists.
We have a thing called Blood Day, and we come in here, the designers, and what we do is we wear our dirtiest, nastiest old clothes, and we come through and we put blood everywhere that we need. But what we do is it's like a crime scene, because we're like, okay, if the bear was stabbed here, which way would the blood splatter? Okay, it would go that way against that wall or over there. Oh no, that's too much. Let's wipe that off. Oh, let's put it over here. It's really funny, and then we all go home just completely covered with blood.
On that note, there's one room that will make you scream bloody murder.
We're in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. But again, telling the story differently, Goldilocks has turned on the bears. And she's not only eating their porridge, she's eating the bears. The devil's in the details. We go to this length because somebody will see this. Somebody will actually go, oh, there's actually porridge in the bowl. Oh, look, there's 3, coveralls. And then from this side, we actually have an 8-foot bear, a guy in an 8-foot bear costume that comes out with a loud roar. And I tell you, people fly out of this room.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my, quickly becomes the theme for my personal favorite.
And now we are in the world of Oz. You're in the cornfield. And what's great is people pull on these and it gives it its own animation. In this cornstalk, the story that we're telling is that Dorothy lost. She didn't make it home. And as you can see, she's had better days. It's like what you think you know, we play against that.
As for my story, I can tell you once I stepped inside Scary Tales, I quickly realized there's no place like home. But I had one more challenge before I could get there.
Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary.
Halloween Horror Nights ends this weekend, so if you're into scary things, then you may want to head on over there. And you may also want to check out the Plaza Theatre. As I said, if you like scary themes or special effects, then you're probably a really big fan of Little Shop of Horrors. That's the popular musical that spoofs the 1950s sci-fi movies, of course. And joining me now is the producer of Little Shop of Horrors, Mason Simmons. And Mason, thank you for hosting the Arts Connection.
Well, Cecily, it's always a pleasure to have you guys here.
Absolutely. Now, for those people who may have been living under a rock, tell us a little bit about Little Shop of Horrors.
Well, Little Shop of Horrors is, like you said, it's a spoof off of the 1950s sci-fi kind of B movies that tells the story of a man-eating plant that can actually grant wishes or kind of make your wildest dreams come true, if you will.
Ooh, I like that. So tell us about that. One of my best scenes, my favorite scenes actually, is with Seymour and Audrey the plant. Tell us about that and the characters involved.
Well, I think, Cecily, the scene that you're talking about is called Feed Me, Seymour. And it's actually it's a very exciting scene. It's the first time that in the show that we see the plant speak to our shopkeeper, Seymour.
Feed me! Where am I supposed to get it? Feed me, Seymour.
An interesting thing about the plant is actually played by 2 different actors. The voice of the plant is played by Valinsky Sylvain, who does a phenomenal job. And then the puppeteer inside the plant that actually brings Audrey 2 to life is Carrie Silson, does a phenomenal job.
Tell us about Audrey. I loved her role out there and her scene.
Audrey is played by Michelle Alsop. We brought Michelle in from California when Dan Roach, our artistic director, came to the decision to put on Little Shop of Horrors. He knew right away that Michelle was the one that we wanted in that role. She has some experience playing this part before, to rave reviews, and what a great decision it turned out to be. She really just does a great job.
And of course, Steve Lane does a terrific job as Seymour. Now, the set itself speaks volumes. Who designed the set?
The set was designed by Jeffrey Schultz. Pleasure to have him here. Took him, believe it or not, day and night, nearly 30 days to complete what you see behind us now. It's really amazing how he brought the feel of Skid Row right into our small theater here, which was the goal from the beginning, to make you feel like you're part of the show, not just watching the show.
Feed me all night long. That's right, boy. You can do it. Feed me, Seymour.
And speaking of being a part of the show, you've actually extended the play throughout the weekend.
Yeah, that's correct. We wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to take advantage of the opportunity to see what we really feel like is a unique production for the Orlando area. So we went ahead and extended one additional week. We've got shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'd really encourage you, if theater is your thing, get out and take a look at this.
Well, Mason, thank you again for hosting us today.
Well, Cecily, it's always a pleasure to have the Arts Connection here. We're a big fan of the show. You guys come out anytime.
Thank you. Well, if you want more information about getting your tickets because you got to see it, then log on to the links at our website. Well, we're going to switch gears here to a more serene world, one that still involves technology and creativity and makes touring a museum very unique. Ah, a trip to the museum. You're looking at a work of art, the combination of colors, textures, and shapes. You're in communication with yourself and the artist, asking the questions. What am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I being told? Suddenly, you're transported to another place and time with the help of this handheld audio device.
This technology allows the listener to really get more of an immersive experience. So my goal as the post-production person is hopefully get audio put together that really gives the person a sense of being in the moment or being in that painting, you know, being within that space and sharing it.
The first painting we see from Rubens' Triumph of the Eucharist series was acquired in 1980, long after John Ringling's death.
Jody Chase is your audio tour guide.
I feel like when I read their scripts, I feel like when people listen to it, they'll identify and understand, you know, what this art is. I bring it alive. I entice people to want to know more. The only specific reference in this painting is the pelican who sits on.
Let me get a good sound check on you.
It's the job of Mike Lutz and Stacia Boyd, owners of Q Media, to enhance the art experience for each museum visitor, like here at the Manello Museum.
I think my challenge is to try to get it away from something which is just factual or something which is very dry, to try to bring about a sense of engagement for the listener, to pull in the elements of sound effects and music. That's my art, to be able to bring about a sonic environment that is compelling for the listener.
And just like a great book, they create characters, settings, and events that give listeners a personal connection with the artist, allowing them to experience the theater of the mind.
You write your script and you choose your sound effects and you select your music, all with the idea of, is this going to get us closer to that inspiring goal?
That goal being, what feeling should the visitor walk away with?
Do we want them to be inspired? Do we want them to be awed?
Here was sacred love, profane love. And so that, you know, give sacred that, you know, the real, I mean, almost like you're standing in church.
Once the tour is put together and you see people take the tour, you're able to ask them, how do you feel? If they come out saying inspired, this was amazing, this was incredible, then you know you've succeeded. If they walk away saying, man, this is a cool little device, this player was great, then you failed.
Their intent is for you to remember the art, not the device. For example, their work of the Coit Tower in San Francisco.
The city is seen as active and exciting and just a bit dangerous. We see in the background an automobile accident complete with injuries and the paparazzi of the day snapping pictures of the event. Look closely at the man in the foreground wearing the gray coat. He's having his pocket picked by one man while being held up at gunpoint by another.
When they are able to walk away and they can remember that information within that story, it's incredibly successful because you've connected with their heart. We don't remember things we don't care about.
For Mike and Stacia, bringing the art alive is not only their mission.
The great Flemish artist was the chief exponent of the drama.
Go ahead and take it from the top.
It's their passion.
I want my work to mean more. I want it to help more. I want it to affect people's lives more.
And leave visitors with more answers than questions. It really takes your art museum experience to the next level. Well, for many pianists, playing on a Steinway is a musical dream, but because they're so expensive, sometimes those dreams don't come true. But a local organization called the Steinway Society of Central Florida has found a way to grant wishes and encourage young people to take up the instrument at a very young age.
I love the sound of the piano. It sounds like A butterfly flying by my window or like angels singing in my heart.
Her 10 tiny fingers stretch across the keys. Her feet can't even touch the pedals.
I have a little box that Mom put under there.
But 8-year-old Jeanne has a love for playing the piano that's so big, words can't describe.
Like this.
Toshmari Christmas is a typical 12-year-old boy.
Kind of really a funny guy. I like pranks, and I like video games and sports.
And he too loves playing the piano.
It kind of, makes me kind of feel relaxed and just unstressful and just want to play along as the song goes. You can really create anything that you want.
And they're both creating music thanks to the Piano Man.
I started playing piano when I was 5, and I started on my grandmother's piano. And music changed my life.
Gary Grimes and his wife Kathy own Steinway Galleries in Altamont Springs, and they believe music can change the life of a child, one note at a time. They're sharing their love of music with the community through their nonprofit organization, the Steinway Society of Central Florida. Its mission is to provide economically challenged but musically talented students with the one thing they need most to create music, a piano.
Music lessons are expensive today, so it's probably a stress and strain on the parents just to be able to get the music lessons that are needed, and they can't make an investment in a piano. We loan them the piano for 3 years, and they have to continue to take and study and play the piano, and they play once a year at a recital here, and that's how they renew their piano for another year. At the end of 3 years, it is their gift. It's their piano.
Gloria Green is Toshmari's teacher, and Cynthia Jimenez teaches little Jeanne. It's the recommendation of piano teachers that get these talented students keyed into the program. They see it as a chance for the kids to shine. Because they know practice makes perfect, and they can't do it without the piano.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's where the progress is made, in the practice. I can show them how to do it and the techniques, but they really got to practice to get that technique down.
She wouldn't progress like she has. She needed that piano. Once she got the piano, she was able to articulate and do the phrasing, and we got the pedal thing. They got a special pedal for her, and it's just been, she's just taken off from there.
The program is 2 years old, and already they've given away approximately 50 pianos. Toshmari received the very first one days before Christmas 2007.
I just thought it was pretty neat that it was Christmas and his name was Christmas and he's getting a piano.
The day I received the piano, it was just like an ordinary day. And then they come in with a big, huge delivery truck and give me the piano, and then Santa comes.
The key is having donated pianos. That when there's a piano that's not being used, grandma's piano maybe, and the kids are moving, they call us and donate the piano.
It's the efforts of the Steinway Society, the parents and teachers that make up a threefold chord, and when it's played by the students, it creates songs in the key of life for each child.
Music brings me joy. Jeanne.
Now, if you cannot donate a piano, you can also become a sponsor for $500, which is the cost of tuning and refurbishing one for a child to receive. Well, up next, he resides in Eatonville, but has performed across the world with some of the greatest blues and jazz musicians. Our own Kristen Kenney sits down and talks music with this local superstar.
Local blues musician Bernie Lee might not carry the prominence of a B.B. King or a Little Milton, but he does take the prize for being one of the oldest blues legends still playing.
Look at the calluses.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I've spent a lot of time playing instruments.
How many hours a day did you play when you were younger?
I used to play up to 12 hours a day.
He's 77 years old, and he's spent more than 50 of those years on stages all across Central Florida with his band, the Bernie Lee Trio. The trio first made their mark at 1950s hotspots, the Quarterback Club and Club Eaton.
Everybody that is somebody, wanted to be somebody, frequented the Quarterback Club to see Bernie Lee, who was the featured attraction. Everyone knew Bernie Lee, from politicians to dishwashers to you name it. They knew Bernie Lee, and to this day, they still know Bernie Lee.
Bernie is the only original member left. The others passed away 30 years ago. But since then, Bernie's kept the name alive with a new group, the Bernie Lee Trio-1, who are regulars at the Steinway Piano Gallery in Altamont.
Bernie has so many sounds to his voice, sort of like a Stevie Wonder or someone. He can sing soft, he can sing soulful, he can sing raspy blues. He's a genius vocalist.
That's how you will stay.
And they say his bass playing offers a unique sound.
He gets a great fat sound out of the bass.
I heard that B.B. King named your bass.
Yeah, we played a benefit at the Lord Cavalier Hotel in 1954. He said, what's the name of your bass? And I said, hell, it's just a bass. I ain't got no name. He said, man, you have to name your bass to give it character. He said, well, you're big. At that time, I weighed 315 pounds. And he said, you are big and it's big. Well, I'm going to call him Big Bertha.
Big Bertha.
And it's been Big Bertha ever since.
Really? And from 1950 on, Bernie and Big Bertha rubbed elbows with all the great acts that passed through Orlando.
Oh, it was awesome. James Brown, the Drifters, the Midnighters, the Temptations, the Impressions, all of them would come through. And I got a chance to open for all of these guys.
He even played behind Tina Turner when she was in Eatonville.
Ike Turner had a fabulous band, and I got to know the bass player because he stayed in my home while they were playing at Club Eaton in Eatonville. And he told me what key she was singing a couple tunes in, and he handed me the bass and I played behind her. It was no big deal.
Okay, no big deal to him. It's just another crazy story to tell, like his short spell on the Ed Sullivan Show.
He introduced me as a guy with a big voice and sings a great song, and I did Unchained Melody.
Bernie's big voice was discovered at a very young age by his grandfather, who also was a musician.
I was out in front of the band when I was 7 years old, and I was singing without a microphone.
It was expected in that era to be able to sing and be heard without a microphone.
If you couldn't project so that people could hear you over the sound of the band, you didn't sing.
The man hardly needs a microphone in a bar or a concert for whatever. He's got a huge voice.
Fly me to the moon, take me to the moon.
70 years later, Bernie can still project, but the years have taken a toll on his voice.
The doctor told me, I went to him, I started losing my voice. And he said, I've got good news and bad news. Dr. Hahn in Kissimmee. He said, the good news is you don't have cancer of the throat, which a lot of singers get. He said, the bad news is you have worn out your vocal cords.
His vocal cords might be worn, but his spirit is still strong.
It's contagious to watch people enjoy themselves, and you get energy from it, and you start enjoying yourself.
The thing, when you have been doing something this long and you love doing it, you just keep on and you keep on and you never forget how to do it.
So it's safe to say there's no chance this trio will be taking a final bow anytime soon.
I love to play. I love the camaraderie with the guys that I work with. We've known one another. We love one another.
You can catch the Bernie Lee Trio the second Thursday of the month at the Steinway Room in Altamont Springs. Well, that wraps it for us here at the Little Shop of Horrors at the Plaza Theatre in Orlando.
Hey, wait a minute, Cecily. Feed me.
Oh, okay. Here.
More!
Hold on. Okay, well, as I said, that wraps it for us here at the Little Shop of Horrors. We certainly hope you have enjoyed our program. Please listen up for us on the radio. That's 90.7 FM for the Arts Connection Minute, weekdays at 9:59 a.m. And don't forget to check us out on the web. You'll find our podcast there, as well as information for the stories you've just seen. You'll also find the Arts Connection blog with lots of information about events and happenings right here in Central Florida. And you can also send us your ideas there. That's WMFE.org/arts. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye. Don't forget to join us next week when the Arts Connection visits with Maestro Anton Coppola as he prepares to kick off the opera's 51st season.
And that's one of the things that attracts me to it, is that the fact that I think we're going to do very satisfying performances here.
Then we explore a hidden gem in Winter Park when we step inside the Alvin Polashek Museum and Sculpture Gardens.
When visitors come, they really have a chance to see not only art, but nature, and them cohabitating very nicely.
That and much more in the weeks ahead as we continue our all-new season of The Arts Connection.